so the physics of diving. Don't get too caught up into this. There will be an exam that covers a little bit of this, but I'll try to point out what you're going to need to know as well. But don't get too super concerned about the physics of diving. The physiology refers to our body's response to physical force. Physics refers to physical force. Now, there's different types of buoyancy that we'll kind of have to deal with. Right now, as land people, you're used to negative buoyancy. You're being held down. Basically, you're being held down. You've always got to have some sort of support, something holding you up. During the scuba dive, initially in the swimming pool, I'm gonna have you in your BC, which stands for buoyancy compensator. You'll be wearing lead, and I'll get you to deflate your BC, and then you'll be held down by negative buoyancy. You're going to be kind of kneeling on the bottom of the swimming pool. At some point during the dive, I'm going to tell you to inflate. I'm going to get you to inflate, put air into your BC, and then you'll be floating on the surface. That's positive buoyancy. That's floating on the water like a boat. Okay? The way that works is it's Archimedes' principle, but basically you make your mass so big that by inflating that vest behind you, it's kind of putting a balloon behind you, and you displace more weight of water than you weigh, so you're buoyed up by a force equal to the weight that you're pushing off. But as a scuba diver, you want to be neutrally buoyant. This is more like a submarine. Instead of crawling on the bottom, walking on the bottom, or floating at the surface, you're going through the mid-water at the depth you want to be. Now, neutral buoyancy is a hard skill to master, but it's one of the most important skills to master. And at the end of this program, you're not necessarily going to have perfect buoyancy by any means, but it's something that you should be working towards. Now, one kind of downside to diving is that if you know any other divers, there's a good chance they're going to want to help you in diving, and I can help you become a more comfortable, better diver. The problem with that is just because they want to help you and they've been diving for years doesn't mean they're a good diver. Buoyancy, I would say probably 70% of divers have bad buoyancy, but they don't know they have bad buoyancy. They may be diving for 20 years, they're still in the big picture of bad divers, so don't necessarily think that they know what they're talking about. So, air has a tangible weight to it. And before I started teaching this class, I thought of the weight of air as being some theoretical weight of, science can tell us that air weighs this much. But now that I'm on the dive store and now I'm around compressed air and things, I can actually feel, and you can feel the weight of air. If I have the normal scuba tank that you'll be using as my student, is called an aluminum 80 tank. That aluminum 80 tank is going to weigh 6 pounds more when it's full of air than when it's empty of air. The only difference being the amount of air in it. So if I throw a full scuba tank into the swimming pool, it's going to sink straight to the bottom. If it's an empty tank, it's going to float up. So you can put it on a bathroom scale and see it weighs more.
Isn't that kind of like propane? Propane's a gas. It's not liquid, right?
Actually, propane is liquid.
Is it liquid?
Yeah. So when you go to whatever Walmart or wherever and get a propane tank,
that's liquid you're filling.
It's a liquid tank.
I know that.
But the liquid comes out into a gas, so the stuff that goes into your propane grill is gas, but it's still a liquid. And different gases have different weights. So we were working on this today, but I'm filling some tanks for a customer, and some of the tanks at the back, I have a bunch of, they're called T-cylinders, they're 330 cubic foot, they're kind of great big tanks, but some of those would have 30 or 40 pounds of gas, some of them have 15 pounds of gas. It depends on the type of gas I put in them. So, but different gases have different weights too. But back to this tangible weight thing. Right here, now where do you teach biology?
No, she teaches.
You teach biology.
Third grade.
Okay, you teach everything third grade.
Everything third grade.
All right, and what do you do?
I'm a software engineer.
Software engineer. Okay. I was thinking you did biology, but that makes sense. All right. So if we have an accurate reading bathroom scale, now this is kind of theoretical a little bit at this point, but if we were standing at the edge of the ocean right now and had a bathroom scale that was not zeroed out, it would show 14.7 psi, pounds per square inch of pressure. And what that would be showing accurately is it's the weight of the air or the atmosphere from here to the edge of space weighs 14.7 psi. So the actual, if you have 1 square inch, a slice 1 square inch big, and weigh it from here to the edge of space, just that air weighs 14.7 psi. We can also refer to that as an atmosphere of pressure or as a bar of pressure. All those terms are interchangeable. So when you hear the news people talking about millibars of pressure and that kind of thing, that's not a full bar, but a bar of pressure is 14.7 psi. Just keep that in the back of your mind. Now, if we go from standing in the sand down to 33 feet of seawater, that 33 feet of seawater weighs the same. That's another atmosphere pressure. It weighs the same as the air does from here to the edge of space, or from the surface to 33 feet of seawater. You follow what I'm saying there? All right. Now, because water is not compressible, every 33 feet of seawater you go down again is another atmosphere pressure. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So at the surface is 1 atmosphere pressure. 33 feet of seawater is 2 atmospheres of pressure. 1 for air, 1 for underwater. And then every 33 feet of seawater you go down is another atmosphere. So
This week we took the quiz on this.
Okay, let's use different terms and try to make this a little bit easier. Okay, and we're going to hit a bunch of topics with my example here. Let's say we have a kickball that's about this big around. If I just throw this kickball in the water, what's going to happen to it?
Float.
It's going to float, right? Now let's put a mesh bag over it so that I can hold it. All right, and I start pulling this mesh bag down. What's going to happen?
It will get smaller.
It's going to get smaller, and it's going to try to float up. It's going to fight me, and it's going to get smaller. If I take that kickball down to 33 feet of seawater, it's going to be exactly half its original size because the pressure has doubled and it gets shrunk down to half its original size. It's also twice as concentrated, sort of. Right? Now, if I release that kickball, what's going to happen to it?
It will expand and go up fast.
How much is it going to expand?
Back to its original size.
Back to its original size. All right. So what's the most important rule of scuba diving?
Not to.
Always breathe.
Breathe continuously and to never hold your breath. So we're tying this all in together here. Just
Because that's your lungs.
Because that's just like very similar to your lungs. Now, but you've probably all swam to the deep end of the swimming pool before and felt some pain in your ears as you swim to the deep end of the swimming pool, right?
That's me. She don't do that.
Okay. Well,
I don't go under.
Okay, fair enough. But let's talk about why you feel pain as you go down.
It's pressure.
So behind your ear, but what is I need more information than that. So behind your eardrum is this same little kickball, right?
Mm-hmm.
As we go down, the kickball shrinks. You feel pain because the kickball is shrinking. The way you can make your ear not feel pain or you won't feel that discomfort is that your eardrum needs to stay its original size. So as we go down, we reinflate the kickball so it stays its original size. It's called equalizing. So the easiest way to equalize for me is I pinch my nose and blow into it. And that reinflates my ears.
It's like when you're up in the mountain, popping your ears.
Sort of, yeah. Kind of the reverse of it, but yeah. So same kind of thing. Does that make sense? You look like you have a question, so ask your
Well,
question.
because I'm still hung up on that mask that's going to be over your face. So how would you do that if you got
It's
that
not
mask?
over your nose.
Yeah.
No, the one that me and him talked about, it goes all the way over your face because over your mouth and your nose.
No, y'all are going, I get what she's saying, but you're going both in the wrong direction
Okay.
for a little while, okay? So, let's back away from mask and talk ears. You're asking really good questions, okay? So when I pinch my nose and blow into my nose, do it right now. You'll feel your ears pop, okay? So what you're doing is you pinch your nose and it blows air through your eustachian tubes and reinflates your eardrums from behind.
Right.
Now that's the air space of your eardrum. Now you've got a mask over your face, right? So this airspace gets squeezed. Any airspace gets squeezed. Any contained airspace gets squeezed. It shrinks as we go down. Behind your mask is an airspace. As we go down, the air in it compresses. To reinflate that airspace, you just exhale out of your nose. So you just do that.
You blow out of your
and
nose.
you blow out of your nose, just a little bit every once in a while, and it makes this air.
So you don't have to do that when you
This
get your
is-
mask.
Well, no, you have to do this for your ears, not for your mouth.
Oh, when you have the mask that covers your nose, you can squeeze your nose with that
Yeah.
mask.
Oh, you can?
Yes, it's
But
a
what
little
if it's the
soft.
face one?
You're not going to wear that face.
That's different. Yeah, I hope you will, and you do.
Yeah,
that's a
because you know where
different
I'm coming
technique as
from,
well.
because
Yeah.
right.
Let me grab one and show you. I'll be right.
Because y'all know what I'm talking about. 'Cause
Yes, it gets
I don't
up your
want that
whole
piece in my
entire chest
mouth.
where you can talk.
Right, but I don't want that piece in my mouth, that's
Why?
what's like, he knows what.
You're out of
You're
control.
gonna have to have that.
No, I'm not,
You're just out of control.
no,
You're out of control.
no,
Should have took she's come off from the work. Right. That part.
maybe you need to stay at home.
I can go on.
We'll get into this in more detail later. Y'all, if y'all don't mind me veering in a bunch of different directions, I'm gonna go in a bunch
Am
of
I
different
the only one
directions.
who says they don't want one of those things like?
No, a lot of
Okay.
people don't. So this is my gear here.
So you don't put it in your mouth either?
He's just saying that to be nice.
No,
Scuba mask. All this is my personal stuff. Okay. So normal scuba mask, I'm gonna put it on, and it covers my nose. All I can do right now is breathe in through my mouth, out through my mouth. All right. As I go down, the air in my mask gets squeezed. To re-inflate this air to get it back to normal size, this airspace, I can just exhale out of my nose. It blows air into my mask, and it's re-inflated. Any excess air just goes out in bubbles. No big deal. If I need to go down as I'm going down to equalize, there's one the technique I use most often is I just pinch my nose right here.
See,
Blow
he's
into my
got
mask.
his nose covered,
Yeah.
and all you gotta do is pinch it.
Yep, and blow. Now, you can't use swim goggles because your nose is not included, and then you can't equalize this airspace. Right now, with a normal scuba regulator, so using this mask, I would have this in my mouth, and I would breathe in and out through here, right? So kind of doing this sort of thing. Now, what she's asking about is this covers your mouth and your nose. How would you do this? So this is the regulator. And if you look inside here, there's nothing in your mouth at all.
right,
Right?
just pushes the air in.
Sort of, yeah, well, yeah, sort of. There's also a microphone back here in this one. But okay, so you see this little rubber block looking thing right here?
That's where your nose.
Yeah, so the rubber block fits right here over your nose, and so when I need to pinch my nose and equalize, I grab the mask. Let me just show you.
You just press it on your face.
Yeah, just pressing on there.
She won't have to worry about that because she's not gonna have that mask.
You're not gonna have that mask on.
Y'all might, I might not do these exact options, but it's a nice mask. A lot of people wind up with it. So to equalize in this mask, I push it in and up, and then it pops my, or then I'll blow and it pops my ears.
Does it plug up your nose in that too, or can you breathe through your nose in that?
No, you can breathe through your nose, yeah. So,
Because I psych out with stuff, but
the benefits of this, let me go.
it makes you feel like you're really just breathing underwater.
You got any
Does it?
carbon monoxide canisters?
I do not. So there's, and we're talking about this mask more later, but the benefits, well, if you
Because that
notice,
one, it makes you feel like you're actually getting to breathe underwater, it's not.
well, you're breathing underwater with both of them, so this mask can, and this is a good mask, this mask can leak, this mask can fog. You know, if I drop the reg out of my mouth, I'm breathing water or whatever. If I go unconscious for whatever reason, if I pass out, I'll drop my reg out and I might not do well passing out.
Right.
With this mask, it can't really fog, so
It's safer.
they're both safe, but it adds some safety features. So this mask, let's see, where was I going with this? It can fog. This mask has like a built-in defroster, sort of. Every inhalation goes across the mask to clear it out. I can use a radio with this mask, which is really nice. These are the earpieces for the radio and the microphones in here. If you pass out for whatever reason, the reg is attached. You can breathe through your mouth, you can breathe through your nose, your face is warm and dry. Really, really, really safe. And this has got some neat features. Now this one has the expensive radio on it. You can go no radio, you can go the inexpensive radio. There's a bunch of different ways to go with this one. So now I wouldn't do just this. Well, actually you can do just this. I wouldn't do just this. I would do both, and then you pick which one's right at the time, is the right way to do it. So sometimes I want this, sometimes I want this. It just kind of depends on what I want at the time. A lot of customers, they'll buy this and they'll use this more. So it just depends. But I have 5 or 6 of these myself, so they're really, really nice.
Y'all make fun of me all you want to.
I saw I'd rather have that too.
They are, and another, like, you can also mount cameras to it. I've got a rail system that I mount a camera and a flashlight and things, and it really is pretty slick. So, There's nobody up there in those pictures wearing them, but they are really, really nice. It adds what I
That
would,
one, that was one in it.
no, that's a
Yellow?
different one, that's a
Okay.
helmet.
You just gotta.
That's a big helmet that you put on.
Yeah, that's much more
Oh, those are
expensive
the
than this.
expensive ones.
Yeah. So, but y'all are asking good questions. Alright, moving on. So, the deeper and deeper you go, the more air you're going to consume. So if you breathe, if a tank lasts you an hour on the surface, it's going to last you about 30 minutes at 33 feet. So it's going to, the deeper you go, the more air you're going to use. So you have to keep that in mind. So a lot of divers will get kind of in the habit of my tank lasts this long, and they don't pay that much attention, and then they go deeper and they run out of air much quicker, and they haven't been paying attention. One thing to be kind of think about is the better computers that we use are going to keep track of some of this for us. So the way we teach diving is you need a computer. A computer is a required piece of equipment. We used to teach dive tables, and we still do at the advanced levels, but it's kind of like teaching long division. Meaning, I learned long division in school, but now as an adult, if I need to do long division, I'm just going to wait till I can get a calculator. Like, I'm not going to ever pull out a pen and paper and do long division, ever. I'm going to get it on my phone, I've got a calculator on my phone, on my iPad. That's really how it's going to work for me. Same thing with diving. I'm not going to do dive tables. And it's not, I wouldn't say it's unsafe, but it's a lot more effort than I necessarily need to ever do when computers just work really well. There's base model computers and nicer computers. This is one of my rental computers. It's base model. Just to turn it on and kind of show you how it works. So how well can you read this from here? Not that you ever need to read this from here, but I think it has a light on it, but let me see. Yeah, so there's it with a light on. You can barely see a little bit of a green tint to it. Well, it's not much better.
They need to have an app to go on the iPhones for that.
They do, but you don't want to do that. So, but that's it kind of up close, and you can see how hard it is to read
The
the thing.
pressurized iPhone.
Well, they do, but it's not quite the same. So,
Is that a watch?
that's kind of a great, that's a dive.
I'm sure it can help.
That's your
Yeah.
red on thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. So now,
No.
a while back, I had some divers that they had decided, it was actually a dive team, a public safety dive team, and they decided on a specific model of a computer that was similar to this that they wanted. And I said, I don't think y'all will like that computer. And they said, well, no, this is the one we want. This is the one we're buying. I said, all right, well, let's go diving. If you want to, let's go diving, and I'll let you use one, and just to make sure you want it. And I stopped saying, don't do this,
Yeah.
and just went with them. But I used my computer. And I said, and after the dive, I said, all right, guys, how was it? What'd you think? And they said, actually, we couldn't see our computer on our arm. We could see your computer on your arm, like across the way from us. So anyway, let me show you my computer.
Yeah.
So another interesting tidbit. So that, and this isn't the equipment chapter, but we're going in a whole bunch. As long as y'all are cool with it, I'm
Oh,
cool
yeah.
with it. Okay. So this computer is one button, and all it does is calculate your depth and time and how long you can stay down from a no decompression standpoint. And all this doesn't mean anything just yet to you, but I promise it will later. But one thing is it's a one button computer. Everything you do is one button, and it's hold this button for this when you get to this screen. Kind of, honestly, I don't really know this computer that well because it's not the one I use, for one. But even some of the divers, I've got an assistant instructor that this is his computer, and I said, show me how to turn the light on this. He said, I don't think it has a light. I said, well, I read in the manual it does. And he said, oh, really? And basically we figured it out, but it was his computer. He didn't even know how to turn the light on. But two, when you do turn the light on, you can kind of just barely tell it's on. This is my dive computer. So color, nice screen, but one of the things I like the most about it, well, there's a lot I like about this one, is that it's menu driven. So instead of one button, hold it for this many seconds on this screen, you upside down, but you get to menus and you scroll and you go to the menu you want or the sledding you want, and then you hit enter. And so it's words and enter and scroll versus hold this button for this many seconds when you see the screen and that. So like I could hand you this or you this, you could figure it out without instructions.
Right.
This one I've read the instructions and I still don't completely have it figured out. They're both fine computers. Another interesting thing is that this one tells me how much air I've got. This one has no idea how much air I've got. So this one says I can stay down for let's say it's 60 feet. This one will tell me maybe 57 minutes I can stay down. This one, if I go to 60 feet, it knows I can stay on 57 minutes from a decompression standpoint, but it also knows I might only have 5 minutes of air left, and so it's going to tell me 5 minutes of air. And so that's kind of the difference there. Don't get too caught up in the computers yet, but it's important to have your own. Alright, so we talked about ear squeeze already. That's the ear pressure as you go down. As soon as my ears get wet, I'm going to equalize my ears, and every couple of feet going down, I'm going to equalize my ears. I don't need to do it coming up, just during the descent. If I can't equalize, if I can't pop my ears, I don't force it, I don't keep going down. I might go up a few feet and try again, and just keep going up a few feet until you can pop. But don't force yourself, that's how you'll pop an eardrum.
So I can't wait to see you.
Why do you say? What's the concern with that?
Oh heavens, she'll be up and down, up and down.
Dramatic.
We're not going to be up and down. We might go up. We're not going to go up and down, up and down. We'll go up a couple of feet.
Well, that's what I'm
and then
saying.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got you. We'll figure it out.
Next thing you'll have no oxygen in the tank because you'll burn it all out.
We'll figure it out.
Trying to get her ears popped.
I think we can make it work. All right. So you can help ensure that other body airspace is equalized automatically, breathing continuously. That's equalizing your lungs. Not or never diving with a cold or congestion. Conceivably, there could be a portion of your lungs, a portion of your sinuses that are blocked off that you can't equalize, but like you can breathe fine, but there's part of your body that's not equalizing, and that can get blocked off. Exhaling periodically into your mask, that's equalizing your masks. Getting regular professional dental care to help prevent tooth squeeze. Now, what I was a bit concerned by this one, thinking, what are they talking about? Like if you become a diver, do you need to go back to your dentist and say, hey, I'm a diver now, what do I need to do? So I talked to some dentists about this.
Because it says you're supposed to on there.
Right. Well, what I asked them, and what they basically said, was that as long as your dentist does your fillings properly, there's no concern. They said where an issue could happen is if you go, like if you had a filling and it came out and you went to Walgreens and bought like a temporary filling repair kit or whatever it's called, and then you didn't pack the filling tightly and you left a little bit of like an air space under the filling, or you didn't get it completely packed,
I guess people do.
and there was a bubble of air, that bubble could squeeze and cause pain and discomfort. But he said as long as you go to the dentist, you should be fine. Now there's another thing to concern yourself with. It's called a reverse block. Now remember, as we go down, we pinch and we reinflate that eardrum, make it normal size, and we don't feel any pain or discomfort. But as we come up, we can't, pinching and blowing into our ears coming up, that's blowing more air into the kickball that we're trying to get some air out of anyway. So you can't pinch your nose and inhale and suck the air back out of your ears. It just has to come out of your ears naturally. So you just have to, if you start coming up and feel pain, you have to go down a little bit and come up slowly and do the things it says here. Kind of swallow, grit your teeth, wiggle your jaws back and forth, this kind of stuff. But don't keep blowing air into your ears on ascent, because that's the opposite of what you need to do.
And you can't keep going back down, you run out of oxygen.
Yeah, at some point you're going to have to come back up. Yeah. But
So I might have to just go through with the pain a little bit.
well, this doesn't often happen. And so I think the way it would probably happen is if you dove with a cold or congestion to begin with, or you took a decongestant or some nose spray right before the dive and it wore off during the dive, that could be a problem.
So in other words, if you're sick.
If you're sick. Yeah.
She's a hypochondriac,
I understand.
so she'll get sick right on the spot.
Well, you like being on my foot.
I think we'll make it work. So one
When
thing
he sees me knock you in the head underneath the water and leave you, he'll know why. Leave you for dead. I don't think they can get you for murder underneath the water in another place, Kim.
I'm not going to participate in that conversation. I can't speak for other countries' laws. Alright, so something some people don't understand is what scuba divers are breathing, or what we're even breathing. So what are we breathing right now in the classroom?
Oxygen.
Well, sort of. So right now in the classroom, as simple as it sounds, we're breathing air. So air is a final mixture of gases. So air is roughly 21% oxygen, 79% nitrogen. There's actually 1% of the assorted other gases in there, but air is roughly 21% oxygen, 79% nitrogen. That's what most scuba divers breathe, at least in their open water classes. So 21% oxygen, 79% nitrogen. The problem with that gas, not that there's a problem, but just kind of follow me for a minute. So nitrogen, so we need oxygen. So when I inhale oxygen, or when I inhale air, 21% oxygen, I need some of that oxygen. I consume some of that oxygen. So I breathe in oxygen, I breathe out less oxygen. I burn it up. Nitrogen is an inert gas. We don't need any nitrogen. It's just a filler for the gas we breathe. We breathe in 79% oxygen, we breathe in 79% nitrogen, we breathe out 79% nitrogen. But our bodies absorb some of that nitrogen, okay? So it gets dissolved into our body tissues and our bloodstream and things, and that's a bad gas. That's where, in that particular instance, that's a bad gas for us. So let's call this, just for a minute, let's call this a bottle of Coca-Cola, all right? So the way they put the fizz in this bottle of Coca-Cola is it's carbon dioxide, but the way they put it in there is they, in very simple terms, is they hook a hose of carbon dioxide to this liquid, and they pressurize the hose, so it's pressurized carbon dioxide, and the pressure causes that gas to dissolve into the liquid. And then they cap it, and that keeps the pressure on or in, and you don't see the bubbles anymore because that gas is, the fizz is dissolved into the liquid. Same thing happens to our bodies as a diver. So when we do a dive, the pressure of the water, the depth of the water, causes the gas we're breathing, that nitrogen and oxygen, it causes the carbon dioxide to dissolve into our tissues. So so there's different factors of how long we can stay down. One of the controlling factors is your nitrogen, your no decompression time. So you can only absorb so much nitrogen, and then when you come up, it comes out, just like taking the cap off of that coat. Coming up from your dive too quickly, if you've been down too long, will cause the bubbles of nitrogen to come out in your bloodstream, and that causes decompression sickness. So that's where dive computers come into play, is they calculate how long you can stay down, how much nitrogen you've absorbed, and how quickly you can come up, or all that kind of stuff. So just kind of think about that just a bit. So the no decompression limits, which is one of the main functions of computers, is to calculate how much nitrogen you've absorbed and how long you can stay down and all this. So this computer only calculates your nitrogen time. This one calculates your air rate and nitrogen and some other stuff too.
So why even fill it up with nitrogen in the tank and just put oxygen in it?
That's an excellent question. And so think of oxygen as a drug. All right, oxygen being a drug, you can overdose on that drug. You can get too much of a dosage. All right. So if you were to take oxygen, I follow your logic, and your logic makes sense. But with oxygen, if you take it down past 20 feet, it becomes toxic. And if you took oxygen to 30 feet, you probably have a seizure and pass out and drown. And it's just from the oxygen. So you can't use the pure oxygen because it becomes toxic at depth. Even air becomes toxic at a certain depth. So there's different philosophies of how much dosage we think we should be exposed to. But as an absolute limit, 218 feet, air becomes toxic. You would have a seizure on air and pass out, sort of. But there's some other stuff too. Go up slower than your slowest bubble and you should be fine. That's no longer a valid rule anymore. You can't do that. Now you follow your dive computers. So, but this is bon air here. You see the fish and how clear the water is. This guy's blowing bubble rings.
Is that just something people like to do? I mean,
it's just neat. It's just something to look at when you're like at the end of the dive and you're kind of killing time.
You'll pass on what?
Blowing a ring down the mouth.
so when you go on these trips and you're diving with different people, are they usually pretty cool people, or you get a mixture of your butt heads and nice people?
So the way I like to do it is, like on this dive boat, we had a dive guy. That guy that you just saw, he worked for the dive operation. He was with us, and he worked for me.
Yeah.
So I had, let's say 80% of the boat was my customers, and so he's trying to make me happy.
Yeah.
And I don't let people on the boat that I don't like, or I don't take people on. That came out wrong.
No, I know what you mean.
But if I don't want to travel with them, they don't get invited on my trips.
Yeah.
And so, but when you go, if y'all are going as a family or as a couple, y'all would be like, even if you're with me without me, it would be the three of y'all most likely as a dive team, or maybe we would assign him somebody else, or one of y'all somebody else. But y'all would be diving together, but part of a bigger group of 10 or 15 divers or whatever. But usually in my groups, I try to keep, like I only let nice people come. If you just go on your own randomly,
Yeah.
it's the luck of the draw as
Yeah.
to who you're
Catch
going to
what
catch.
you can,
Yeah. So, and it's important to get your own gear. All of you have your own gear, and then you work the bugs out of your gear. When I was a new diver, I was a pretty decent diver, but I didn't have like a designated dive base. It was just a random single guy
Yeah.
showing up on a boat, and they would always assign me a buddy, and that buddy was never a good buddy. So basically, he was never a good diver. So we would jump in and go down, get to 15 feet, and he would have to go back up for something, or something didn't work right. And that's one of the reasons I'm a big fan of, like, you need to own all your gear, you need to own yours, is that, sure, you can dive and rent gear every time, but you're never going to get the bugs worked out of that rental gear. So for the first half of your dive trip, you're trying to figure out how to get the bugs worked out of that gear, and then next time you're in somebody else's gear, and so and I'm trying to keep that where you can just, my goal for you as a diver is you have your gear, and when I say let's go diving, you already know how to go dive. You know how to work your gear. You can jump
You don't
in.
waste your time.
Right, because that's frustrating for everybody.
So you have to have one other person for a dive buddy, or could the three of us be?
The three of you could be.
Okay.
So, it just depends. Like, if I were diving with y'all, I would ask y'all if I had another single guy, I would assign it to him probably. But if everybody matched up evenly, I would let y'all three stay together. Meaning, if I
Another person by himself.
if I didn't have another person by himself or something like that. So let's see if this will play my video. Yeah. So this is the roof of a cavern that we may go into in Florida on our dive trip. And you can see the bubbles getting caught in the ceiling of this cavern. We don't have to go in there, it's just a neat, pretty place to go. And it's neat to see the bubbles get caught. This is a place called Guinea Springs here.
People write on the walls.
You're not supposed to. That's kind of, you'll get arrested for that. That's considered
You got the scuba place coming after you.
Yeah. No, I mean, it really is considered vandalism.
Yeah.
So it's
So
no
like
different.
No, you
than-
shouldn't do that. You should just let it go. Go there and see it, take the pictures and go on.
Yeah, well, it's no
It's
different than
wrong.
writing on the walls at the mall or the
Right.
museum or whatever. So
Nobody needs to know I was here.
That looks kind of tight.
No, it's not.
Is it not? Just looks closer to the
it
video.
just looks
You
that
could
way.
probably, I could probably stand.
Oh,
Well,
somebody's
you see
standing up
somebody
over
stand
there.
up, yeah.
So you can stand up.
Oh, yeah, this is like an auditorium-sized place.
So, but I thought we weren't allowed to touch the bottom of the floor.
It depends on where you are.
Okay.
There's nothing here but sand, so you can touch anywhere here. So,
Oh,
all right,
that's
and
cool. So you don't
thi-
have to swim right, you just walk around.
You shouldn't. That's bad form, let's say. So we're trying to teach you dive skills, not walking skills. So we're gonna
Yeah, right,
if
know how to
you-
walk.
yeah.
I know, but
If you touch the bottom, it's not a big deal, but you shouldn't be touching the bottom. So this is Bon Air here. So you've seen some different pictures and videos, but this is how clear Bon Air is. You can kind of see the clouds up just a little bit up here.
That's unreal.
That's pretty cool if you can see the clouds
Yeah.
through the water. What I would consider clear water.
Yeah, you can see the clouds.
Now,
like over
is
here.
that in the water? Or is
Yeah,
that
he's
Yeah,
person?
in the water.
I'm deep in the water and she's shallow in the water.
And he's looking up.
I'm
He's
kind
looking
of
up
Wow.
towards the sky. And you can see the clouds outside
Yeah.
of the water.
That
See
is
if we
cool.
can go to the water.
That's cool.
And I'm zooming, so like she's really not that close, but
And she's still underwater, because she looks like she's
Yeah.
up at the top of the water.
she's probably 20 feet just as a guess, but I'm.
That's unreal.
Right. So another thing to concern yourself with, another reason you need your own computer, is that you need to know what it's telling you when it's telling you. Like a minute ago, you heard a beeping noise. That was my computer telling me something. I'm not sure what it was then, but you need to know how to work your computer. So I had early in my business, it was a boyfriend that was certified that I've been diving with for years, and I was teaching his girlfriend to dive, and she didn't have her own gear, so she rented a computer from me. We went to Myrtle Beach or Myrtle's Inlet and did some diving, which the diving there is kind of okay. The shipwreck diving is pretty good, actually. And at the end of one of the dives, she came to me and said, "I don't like this computer." And I said, why don't you like me? Tell me what's wrong with it." And she said, "Well, it just keeps beeping and blinking and all this." And I said, "Well, let me look at it and see," because I needed to see what was going on. And basically, the computer had hey, it's time for you to go up. You need to go up right now. And she didn't know what it was telling her. She just saw it beeping and blinking. And then it told her, now you can't go up. You've got to stop and do a decompression stop. Don't go up yet. She didn't know what that meant either, and so she just ignored it. And then she just finished the dive when her boyfriend did. Now, there's a little bit more to it than that, but she finished the dive when her boyfriend did, and it was still blinking at her. And then that's when she came over to me, and I said, you can't dive anymore the rest of this trip. She said, why? And I said, because you're just lucky you didn't get hurt because you didn't follow the computer's recommendations and all this kind of stuff. Now, one thing is that I and her boyfriend was using nitrox, which is a higher percentage of oxygen, so we could stay down longer. She was using air. She hadn't taken that class, so she couldn't stay down nearly as long, and she didn't know how to work her computer because it was my rental. So my point of that is that I kind of, once when that happened, I got leery of renting computers. I will rent you a computer, but like if you rent, this is a rental computer. I don't know how to work it. I mean, I just don't.
If you rent it, you figure it out.
I'll print you an instruction manual.
But now when you're with us in the dive, you're gonna help us with that when we're doing it, right?
I don't know how to work. I mean, I don't.
No, when we have when you're down there with us,
If we buy a computer and we're down there and we don't know what it's doing,
you're
gonna say,
with
hey, man,
us,
this
right?
is what it's doing.
If you buy a computer that I know how to
Yeah, that's what
right.
I'm saying,
But you're not gonna leave our side with that. You'll be there with us.
No, you'll be diving with me. Like y'all can't share a computer because your computer tracks you.
Yeah.
Right.
If I want you to buy this one or one step under this one,
Okay.
and I know everything about it.
Right.
But if you buy this one, like I'll say, hey, hit that button. I really don't. No, I won't say that. But honest to goodness, I don't know how to work this. Like I can turn it on and turn the light on, and that's about all I know how to work it. One of my instructors has one of this, but I'm not sure he knows how to work it.
Right.
A lot. But ideally, you buy this one or one under this one, and you'll be happy.
It's a big Casio G Shock.
Yeah.
That one right there. Yeah.
Hang on, I'll show you something. I'll be right back. I can show you the exact story.
You had one that did the dive.
That's not a Casio G
But you
Shock.
had one that used to have the dive and stuff on it.
Well, no, it wasn't for
Alright, so I'll give you a true story that's accurate with this piece of equipment.
It'll tell you how deep you went more. Sure.
Oh, okay.
So, just as a guess on time, anytime I give you dates, it's kind of a guess. But let's say 3 years ago, 4 years ago, this was my top tier computer that I sold. Okay, the girl that was catching bubbles that you could see the clouds a little bit ago. She's an ER doctor. Really, really smart girl, ER doctor. This is not her computer, but this is the exact computer that she bought. The girl that bought this computer, same girl. So 3 different ladies bought this computer, including a doctor. That doctor came to me and said, I don't like this computer that you sold me. And I said, well, why? Now, she was a difficult girl, but she said, I can't figure out how to work it. And I said, well, did you read the manual? And of course, she said, no, I didn't read the manual. I said, well, that's probably the right way to learn to work it. Is this one actually do know how to work? But because I used this one too until this one came out. But I said, you need to read the manual, play with it. But 2 other women bought this computer, and I know they did read the manual. And there was actually, 2 other women. One just bought this one, but they basically said, I never could figure this computer out, and it is a hard computer. This is actually way easier than that one, but it's still hard to work. And I showed them my new one, and everybody with the doctor bought the new one on the spot. But it's just easy to work versus hard to work. And this is a much nicer computer than this one. One of the ladies, she'd had her computer. She'd been on like 3. Both ladies that. Basically, 2 of the women that had this computer went on 5 trips and they never figured out their computer. The lady who owns this computer went on a trip with me last month or so and had problems, and she bought this one when she came back. But one of the ladies, she bought this computer and said, all right, now show me how to work it. And I said, no, I'm not going to show you how to work it. Here, figure it out. And like this one that she had for years, she never figured out, and still never learned it. This one I handed to her, and I said, all right. She said, how do I set the date? I said, see if you can figure it out. And she could do it on her own because it was easy enough to work. And actually, this one's available used because the lady bought this one. So anyway.
But that one right there, you have to study. That one you don't have to study.
This one you can pick up in most of the.
That one's a lazy person's.
Yeah, it's just easy.
Right.
But
Nobody likes reading a manual of anything.
Well, even with a manual, this one's hard. But
That one's
This
impossible.
one's almost impossible. So like to do things on this one, you hold, now this one's not available anymore, that one probably still is, but
But you gotta do a lot of button
it's
clicking.
hold, so to get it in one mode, you hold these two buttons. To get it in the other mode, you hold these two buttons, and then you scroll through menus and things like that.
Like a watch.
And that was probably cool 15, 20 years ago.
Well, it was still hard 15 or 20 years ago, but it was the best.
Yeah.
And this might still be a current computer or like a new version of this. One thing that's makes me feel a little bit better about it, 4 years ago, this was the top of the line computer, and it's exactly the same computer today. Now they make a cheaper version that's a step down from this, but it's still
Just
the same computer.
4 years ago, it didn't change.
Like
either.
that.
It's not like a laptop.
It does look like a depth finder.
Kind of, yeah. But it's not like a laptop. If you buy a laptop today,
It's out.
in a month you won't
Yeah.
find that same
Or an
one
iPhone.
anymore. Yeah, or an iPhone. Well, an iPhone
No,
will be a
iPhone.
year, so a
They,
year.
they do a new one every year.
Yeah,
Well, they do, but I mean, it's still iPhone's an iPhone.
yeah.
Yeah.
But this one,
It's
this
still good
one's,
after 4 years.
this one's probably 4 years old, just as a guess, and it's like if there's no nicer computer on the market. If I lost this one, I would buy exactly the same one today, still top tier. But anyway, good deal on this one. If you want.
It's big.
Well, so
That's why I say people don't like
You're not
it.
gonna
because
no,
it's-
it's
the water
expensive. Is why people don't.
Oh.
It's the only downside.
Yeah.
So, but new about the same price when this this lady paid. Well, she bought it twice, but it's really about the same price.
She bought it twice.
Well, I mean, she bought that one and then she bought this one. But this one is kind of a technology jump. That one, when she bought it, this was the best on the market. So it's big, but you kind of need big. Like you're not wearing this to dinner. You're wearing this to dive, and you need a nice big screen,
You're
nice
not-
big buttons and all that.
And you're not fumbling around.
Yeah.
Right.
Now we can get this one smaller. So the cheaper version of this is this big.
Yeah.
It doesn't have it's got the buttons here, not on the side. And it's half the weight and half the durability instead, and half the battery life. Anyway. Okay. All right. So here's a. Let's see if we can make this play. But here's a video on this computer and how well it shows up in the water.
Wow, she looks like a fountain of water.
Color's nice too. This is not my video. Oh, and things that are important show up like in different colors. Like if something were bad, it would show up in yellow or red or whatever.
Is that a compass that's on the
Yeah,
right?
on that
Okay.
particular display. Yeah.
Yeah, there it goes, digital compass.
So this is the ascent rate on this computer. It must have been going up because you saw a bar graph going up. You can change the display to make it show what you want it to show. See, now he's going up, so it's got the bar graph. So this video was 2015, and it's still the top tier computer.
Yeah. But your eye go right to the dog
Yeah.
or side.
It was better.
So you can reduce the risk of decompression sickness by making safety stops. What a safety stop is, at the end of every dive, you're going to stop at somewhere between 10 and 20 feet and just wait for 3 to 5 minutes. That's not a decompression stop, that's a safety stop. What that's doing is you're stopping at depth, you're keeping those nitrogen bubbles small. Your lungs are your bubble filter, so you're giving your blood a chance to cycle through your lungs to get all the excess nitrogen out of your system. Now, the nicer computers, when I get to 15 feet, this computer pops up a 3-minute countdown to remind me to do a safety stop. These don't have any of that kind of stuff. You want to avoid going a lot of ups and downs. Like you can go up and down a bit, but you don't want to go to 90 feet and 10 feet and 70 feet and 4 feet. You don't want to do that. Generally, you want to do the deepest dive of the day at the beginning. So do 60 feet and then gradually work your way up. But if you do 60, 58, that kind of stuff, you're fine, but there's not a lot of big variations. Particularly on vacations, don't get dehydrated. It's easy for me to go and not take time to drink water and things like that, so think about drinking water. And this is a big one, but not flying or driving to altitude for 24 hours after diving. This computer has an automatic 24-hour countdown after diving, so as soon as you get out of the water, it's got a 24-minute countdown on it to keep you out of the water. Generally, the last day of the dive trip, we just go sightseeing or whatever to kind of keep that safe.
So if you go to Bon Air,
Mhm.
you want to dive, and let's say you got your tanks, you just go out on some dive tour, right?
Mhm.
What's the deepest they're going to take you?
We
You
can
said
only
I-
go 60 feet, right?
Well, as an open water diver, you're certified to 60
Yeah.
feet. As an advanced open water diver, which you should do, you'll be certified to 130 feet. Now, I don't necessarily say you would ever go to 130 feet, but you might go to 80 to 90 feet pretty regularly. Sometimes in the Caribbean, though, they want to see your certification card and your credit card. That's not your open water certification card, and that your credit card cleared. That's all they're worried about, and they'll take you diving whichever trip you sign up on. So
Right, so if I'm certified in this class and I'm in Bon Air,
they'll take me to 100.
I'm going on the 130
They'll
foot dive.
probably take you,
They're probably going to take.
but
Because
they don't,
money speaks.
because money speaks. Now, but they don't really care if you enjoy it. They're not going to necessarily let you die, but they might let you scare yourself and
Never wanna go again.
and never want to go again. Where I'm trying to make you a happy, and I'll take you.
Yeah, you're trying to get me safe and happy.
Yeah, and I might take you on that deeper dive too.
Yeah.
But I'm going to watch you really, really close, and and all that. And they're just
Yeah, well,
Rules
because
and
you get drunk.
regulations.
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
you get nervous.
Right. It's a big deal. Yes. Right.
And that's the only reason I want to go deep.
Right. Right. I hear
But he
you.
had it.
Right. Oh
And
yeah.
it's not a bad feeling, I'd say, as long as you feel like you're safe.
It's just similar to alcohol. Yeah.
Right.
So,
Except
but-
you don't have the aftermath.
Yeah, but you need to ease into it in the sense that let your experience build up and all that kind of stuff too. So
I want to say I had a scuba bus.
we can make that happen. And I've done some deeper dives in Bon Air, and it gets darker and all that, but it's not bad. You just have to watch what you're doing. So I'll take y'all deeper if you want to go. Now, if you go locally, like the quarry, it is just really, really cold the deeper you go. So
No, I want to go like where it's clear, but I can still get
Clear.
And not cold,
maybe
cold.
see some stuff.
yeah, Bon Air's pretty decent to do
Yeah.
that too. So you can get pretty deep in Bon Air. Let's see.
Does it make you nauseated though?
No.
Oh, it don't. So it's not like drinking. There's
No,
drinking
not
what
like
you
that.
said.
No, not like drinking. So you can best avoid nitrogen narcosis by not diving below 60 feet until you've got experience and training and all that kind of stuff. So really good question and tying in with that. All right. So another issue is carbon dioxide poisoning. Every year, there's usually a couple divers get hurt from carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide, whatever. It's a big deal. But and so a couple of local dive shops have had some issues with bad air in the past couple of years. A couple at the beach and a couple in the Caribbean have. I have everything I do that involves customer safety. I've got multiple levels of redundancy built in. So just as an example, carbon monoxide is a heavy gas. It sinks. One way you could get carbon monoxide is from a malfunctioning compressor, malfunctioning car exhaust, all that kind of stuff. My compressor used to be diesel. I'm just giving you some examples. But my compressor, when I bought it, was a diesel compressor. I had it converted to electric. It was an expensive conversion. So now it takes a car exhaust, a malfunctioning car exhaust near the air intake of my compressor to get this carbon gas in the air intake. So I have my compressor at the rear of the building, kind of in the woods. There's woods and fence and all that back there. Carbon monoxide is a heavy gas. I have that. A car would have to drive through the woods, cut trees down to get near my compressor. Carbon monoxide is a heavy gas. The air intake of my compressor is mounted on the roof line of the building way up high. I also have a filtration system in mind that if you pump carbon monoxide into it, it's going to convert it to not carbon monoxide. I'm not a chemist, but there's some sort of chemical something going on that converts it to a different, less harmful gas. So I have lots of safeties built in, and I send my air off to a lab to get tested and all this kind of stuff too. So you don't really have to worry about it here, but it has happened at other dive shops.
No, it's a worldwide sport, so I guess just about anywhere you go, or they're going to have a pretty good system.
I would not say that.
I would not.
No, he just sat here and told you, like, Jamaica's had some problems. And
We're
Some Charlotte dive shops have had some problems.
Well, I didn't know how predominant it was. I thought maybe it was a little bit more self-policed and better.
It is self-policed,
But
but
it's not.
well, it is self-policed, but not everybody
Yeah.
kind of does a good job with it. So there was one of my dive masters, just I think it was last year, he came to me and said, Brett, you cause problems wherever we go. And I said, what are you talking about? And he explained this to me, that there was, and this is based on a memory from a year ago conversation, but he said, he was kind of picking and being funny, I didn't have any idea what he was talking about. He said, you're causing problems everywhere. I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, I was breathing your air, like in my scuba tank was your air from your store, and everybody else had air from this dive shop, that's a Charlotte area dive shop. And one of the guys had a new carbon monoxide analyzer to test for bad gas, and was testing all the stuff, and it showed carbon monoxide from this other shop, but the guy thought his machine was off. Like he thought something was not right with his machine.
Because all of them were showing it.
Because all of them were showing it. But then they tested their machine on my air, and my air showed clean and fine and all this kind of stuff. And that's happened 2 or 3 times. Actually, there's a dive shop at the boat that did the same thing. One of my customers used my air, took it to the coast, and used my air at the coast. He said everybody on this boat got headaches after the dive, and he was fine. So that's 2 I know of. I wouldn't call them locally, but a Charlotte shop and a.
Was there any way to
shop.
test for that? I mean, I'd hate to go to someplace like Bonaire or
There-
whatever and get that.
There is a way to test for it, but it's not super duper easy.
Okay.
So I don't personally test for it, because it's not easy. Let's say. You can do it, but it's not. Most people don't.
So when you take a plane trip, you can't take the air
No,
tanks with
you
you, so
can-
you have to get them from a
You
place
can buy
like that.
testers, but they're kind of expensive and hard to maintain and
So you
things.
just
Well,
have to
it's
take
really
that
just
chance.
catch as catch can, and maybe reputation of the person that you're going to
Yeah,
see.
I have to go to people that I trust and am very
So when
aware
you
of
took
what I'm
those
doing.
trips, you had to get your tanks from another place too, didn't you?
I asked to see their certificate, and I asked a bunch of stuff to know that they have safe air, and if they can't produce their certificate, I'm doing some homework before I get there. You know what I'm saying? That's it.
Yeah, so
That
you
would be
ask the
hard.
logical questions. If they can't produce it, then chances are
They're not.
you've got a higher likelihood of getting that
Yes.
carbon.
I'm not saying it's bad, but I can tell they're,
You want that
they're-
certificate.
yeah.
The odds are.
But now some of those, they might not have ever heard of that certificate, because it's the Caribbean too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, it'd be the same as, can you show me your degree for being an auto mechanic?
You know what?
And
We could fix this worldwide using blockchain.
I don't know what blockchain is.
Have you ever heard of Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Bitcoin's blockchain is the technology behind that, and
Right.
it proves everything out. I mean, you can't cheat it.
Oh, that's cool.
We could do the whole world. I'm serious.
Right.
I'm serious. You can have blockchain set up, and everybody sign up on that thing and have to prove out their gas.
Right. That's cool.
I mean, it would be 100% fail safe. And if you didn't get involved in that thing, but if you didn't get involved in that, you would already be a bad apple.
Right. No, I got it.
See, I'm sitting.
No, I follow you.
I'm listening to you say, well, I asked to see their card and you do all these checks.
Right.
Well,
You don't have to have the certification with the blockchain, right?
you'd have to have it, but that would be part of that
Right. No, I
that you
got
put
you.
in the system.
But third world countries, they don't follow the same rules, and they don't,
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is a global thing. You could just say SDI, Patty, whatever.
Right.
We're all on this blockchain.
Well, they're
Right.
not all SDI at those places either, are they?
No, but there's somebody.
Yeah.
But
There's somebody.
right. But I don't have to do that either. I do it because I want to do it. Like, there's nobody telling me that I have to.
Yeah, but see, if you were certified, right? If we had a company and we've been
Right.
doing this certification worldwide, and you put that on your thing, it'd be like, I don't even have to think about doing it.
Right.
I know he's
That's
in
A+.
this, and it's perfect.
That makes sense. I get you. And my